Yeah.
So,
Namaste to all of you. A very warm welcome to this Zoom call. Every day, what we do today also, we have a honorable guest with us, Ashok Behuria ji. But as you all know, let me again repeat the rules of the day for those who have come for the first time. All the mics would be muted except mine and Ashok ji's. So then he would give his initial talk. Could be 30-40 minutes. It's up to him. We'll leave the floor to him. Once he has spoken about it, then we will throw the room open for question answer session. Even then, as you all are aware, there is an icon there where you can raise your hand. A hand will show up against your video for us to monitor it. Or if you do not know that, then you can just type a chat message and send it to us. Between me and Dheeraj, we will plan out the priority, and then we will unmute each one of you. You can speak you can ask your question briefly, and then we will mute you back so that we do not have crosstalk and noise pollution is reduced. I think so far it has gone out well, and all of you have really cooperated very well. Thanks a lot. Even when there were long calls running into a couple of hours or more, all of you have really stood with us and been very patient. We express heartfelt thanks to all of you. As always, it is a movement. It is supported by the support of all of you, and we would expect this continued support from you in days to come as well. Friends, today we have Dr. Ashok Behuria ji. He's a senior fellow and coordinator of South Asia Center at IDSA. He's a Ph.D. in international relations from the JNU. I think I got a call. Yeah, from JNU, and he also worked on India-Pakistan relations during the 1980s for his PhD. He joined IDSA in 2003, and before that, he was working as an assistant director at International Center for Peace Studies, New Delhi. Dr. Behuria was also been an editor of International Studies, the prestigious research journal from JNU, and has been in the editorial boards of journals of peace studies and strategic analysis, and a lot many. He has taught at the University of Delhi and Jamia Millia University, Jamia Millia Islamia, very controversial universities, as you can see, all the three of them. He's been a close observer of developments of South Asia and neighborhood, and he has been awarded the prestigious K. Subramaniam Award for Excellence in Strategic Studies for his work on Pakistan in 2009. He has published many research articles on strategic issues relating to Pakistan, India-Pakistan relations, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and South Asian security environment. So he's a very illustrious person, my friends. And one thing that he has not mentioned in his bio is that he was also involved with the Chabahar project, which has come up in Iran, which is supposed to bypass Pakistan to reach Afghanistan. So he has got a very illustrious background, and he has done quite a lot of study on this particular field. We had Shrikant ji from JNU who spoke about China. Now we have Ashok ji who's going to talk about Pakistan. Pakistan, as you all know, friends, is an enigma for us. He's been a brother who was broken away from us, and he's an embarrassment for all of us. We react to Pakistan on emotion, but not on facts and ground realities. The problem with all of us is we somehow wish that Pakistan dies and Pakistan goes away. But Pakistan is a very, very stable country. We do not understand the dynamics within it. It is able to punch much, much higher than its weight in the international fora, much higher than even India can do in many aspects. It's not a pushover. It's a nuclear power, and it's not as unstable and as stupid as we all think. They have their own dynamics. We may not like it, but that's the way it is. We would like to hear from Ashok ji in terms of how Pakistan, not just Pakistan, but the developments in Afghanistan, the developments in Iran, and this entire region, how is it going to impact us, especially after this Chinese coronavirus impact goes down. And I would also request him to throw some light in terms of what happens to the POJK and Gilgit-Baltistan area, and should India ever take back, and can India ever take back? Probably you'll factor all these things in his talk. Ashok ji, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Girdharji, for the kind remarks about me. I am not as important as you project me to be, but I am just a student of international politics and more focused on South Asia and especially the Pak of theater. And I have been covering this area for last about 30 odd years, 32 years now. But I must tell you, as you were indicating, that it's an enigma. It remains an enigma. And I think it is true of all countries. It's not true of Pakistan alone, because countries have a way of growing up. They have their own separate ways of growing up, rather. And Pakistan is growing up in the most predictable manner. But there are elements which doesn't elements which do not meet the eye. So for that, we tend to think that Pakistan is beyond our understanding. But there are certain elements which we can isolate to define Pakistan, to understand its strategic orientation, and to understand how it is poised vis-a-vis India. So that is beside the point. Let me come straight to the topic that you have assigned me, especially the western border and what is happening out there. I will divide my presentation into three different compartments. The first will be about the present present state of India-Pakistan relations. Then I will move to perhaps the internal political dynamic in Pakistan at the moment, and how it is unfolding, and what it has in store for India in general. And the third is I will talk about Pakistan-Afghanistan relationship in light of what is happening in Afghanistan at the moment, because a lot of developments taking place in the Afghan theater, which is likely to have impact on not only Pakistan but also India. If you remember, in 1989, when the Soviet forces withdrew, we thought the worst was over, but in fact, we got into a stage of militancy immediately after that. So keeping that in mind, let me now come to what is happening between the two countries at the moment. As you all know, post August 5 decision by the Indian government to repeal and abrogate Article 370, it seems it will take years after Pakistan decides to talk to India at the highest level, because they have peddled a theory in Pakistan that Kashmir legitimately belongs to them because it's a Muslim majority country, and this is an unredeemed fact of partition, unredeemed territory post-partition, which has to be redeemed, which has to be annexed to Pakistan. So this narrative is so powerful in Pakistan, and this narrative has been peddled right since 1947 till today. That is why when India revises its position in light of the present reality and says that this belongs to us and Pakistan has no locus standi, Pakistan is likely to take it in a different way, and they are not going to talk to us unless there is a clear-eyed vision about the future in front of them. So what I see no reason to hope that Pakistan has a clear-eyed vision about South Asia or about India-Pakistan relations. So that is why it is not likely to come back to the negotiating table so early. Given that, one would have imagined in the face of a crisis like the one we are having at the moment, Corona crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, and the gesture that was made by the Indian Prime Minister in the shape of the SAARC video conference, one would have imagined that they would have mellowed down, they would have tried to come back to the dialogic track, but that didn't happen. You see, Imran Khan stayed out. He sent his health advisor instead, which indicated that they are not in a mood to reconcile to the developments within India. And not only that, if you look at the way they are behaving along the LOC, that suggests that they are not going to stay silent. They are creating a lot of problem along the problems along the LOC. For example, on April 5th, as you know, in the Kupwara sector, they tried to infiltrate a few militants, and in the encounter, we lost 5 of our eminent special forces personnel. Between April 5th and April 12th, in Sundarbani sector, in other sectors as well, in Bandipura and other places, the militancy has picked up, and LOC ceasefire violation has picked up as well. In an answer to that, on 10th of April, if you remember, we launched attack on the terror camps, the video of which was released by the Indian Army. So along the LOC, the reality remains as perplexing as ever. And we have no reason to believe that Pakistan will moderate its stand, or Pakistan will try to advocate a more reconciliatory position vis-a-vis India because of the crisis at home, the corona crisis at home. That's not going to happen. So we must keep that in mind. The second thing is, at the same time, we must try to find out what coronavirus is doing to, or the COVID-19 situation is doing to internal political dynamic within Pakistan. In fact, Imran Khan is so egotistical that he is not ready to concede any ground to any other leader in the country. Like if you found the Chief Minister of Sindh coming out with very proactive measures to fight corona crisis, he said that, I'm not going to follow that model. He was the first one to clamp down on congregations. He was the first one, the Sindh Chief Minister. He also announced a lockdown on 14th of March. On 11th of March, if you remember, WHO came out with the pandemic declaration. And on 13th, they came out with this lockdown. And immediately after that, you found the Punjab government, the KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government also followed. So, but Imran Khan, on his part, being the Prime Minister of Pakistan, he did not go for a lockdown. And till today, he had said the lockdown will be very, very dangerous. Lockdown will not resolve the crisis. It will create further crisis. But we have to see through the game, what is happening at the moment. A, his ego is coming in the way. B, he does not want to take on the religious constituency within Pakistan. He doesn't do it because if he stops the Jummah prayers on Fridays, he thinks the religious lobby will launch itself on the government. So they are not ready to clamp down on congregational prayers. You see, the Tablighi Jamaat, which held its congregations in 3 different countries, in Malaysia, in India, and in Pakistan. In all these 3 places, they are the ones who have been responsible for the major spike in COVID-19 cases. And in Pakistan also, that has been the case. And all that Imran Khan did was a small directive or a small appeal to the religious constituency not to organize the congregation. But he didn't go beyond that. Interestingly quite, the army has been very, very silent on all this. Army didn't say anything. Army could have come out and said that, well, I say nothing will happen. Forget about congregations, stop all these congregations. Army didn't do it. But interestingly, on 14th of March, Army came out in support of civilian administration, invoking some clause in the constitution. And that was interesting. So Army, in the absence of the central government taking charge, the Army stepped in to project itself as the savior of Pakistan. So what has happened in the meanwhile, there is a dissension, there is a disjunction between the central government and the federal government at one level, and the central government and the army on the other. So the army is now finding it very easy to project itself as the savior of Pakistan. That we have to keep in mind. So throughout the economic crisis that has loomed large now, Imran Khan doesn't have a sound policy also. That is why yesterday he came out with an interesting package. He said that we will not have lockdown, we have a relaxed lockdown. The construction workers will be able to go and work. The agricultural laborers will be able to go back and work. That is because he knows that in spite of the fact that he has announced about 12,000 rupees, Pakistani rupees, as a dole for supporting these laborers, and which is being gradually being transferred to their accounts, he knows that he cannot sustain it beyond a point. So he has to bring in some amount of economic activity in the country for these people to earn. So he has now resorted to that. And simultaneously, there's a lot of talk going on in Pakistan about trying to approach different friendly countries and international financial institutions for some kind of economic support to weather the crisis. As you all know, this particular black swan event, this COVID-19, this unfortunate, unpredictable event that has come in, it has created havoc for global economy. Now, if you look at the rating agencies worldwide, they have downgraded the GDP growth rate of all the countries, including Pakistan. For India, it is about between 1 and 2.5%. For Pakistan, it is between 1 and 1.5%. So it is even lower. So, and remittances have also started disappearing at the moment. The same here. We were getting around 62 to 70, between 65 to 70 billion dollars. Now we will also have a problem. Pakistan is also having a problem there. So in that sense, they are having a huge economic meltdown in Pakistan as well. So Imran Khan doesn't know how to go about it. The all-weather friend, iron brother, China has stepped in. They have tried to send in PPEs, the personal protection equipment, paramedics, doctors are coming in, health medicines are coming in, healthcare stuff have started coming in. So China is trying to come in. Somebody is Professor Isaac. Yeah. Saying that he knows how to bowl, not to bat. How not to bat? Yeah. No. He may be a good cricketer, and he has proved his mettle as a politician. I must tell you, because in spite of the fact that the army backed him solidly, the fact that he could project himself as a national alternative speaks volumes about his political acumen as well. The only thing where he is perhaps messing it up is allowing his ego to come on the way. He is not trying to engender a national consensus like Prime Minister Modi is doing here. He is constantly talking to the opposition, talking to different chief ministers. That is the mark of a democratic process. That is the mark of a democratic leader. That in spite of differences, you have to keep talking to the opposition to make sure that you evolve a national consensus. That is whatever Prime Minister Modi is saying, the opposition is listening to him. He's saying that, okay, if you are saying it, we are okay with it. In Pakistan, it is the reverse. Whatever the initiatives are being taken at the federal level, at the level of the provinces, and Imran Khan is saying that I am not okay with all this. I'm not going to go by all this. So you have a political division, you have an economic meltdown, and you also have this interesting tale of the friendly countries not being able to provide Pakistan with enough help. That is also another issue that we should discuss. Because I don't think at the moment, because they themselves are facing lots of crises. If one of you has gone through one brilliant article in Washington Post, that this particular crisis is looking for a leader. At the international level, there is no leader available at the moment. At the regional level, Prime Minister Modi wanted to play that role, but it didn't work out. So in this case, at the global level also, there is no leadership available, because each of the countries are also having their own domestic issues to stand up for. So in that sense, I do not know whether Pakistan will be able to overcome the economic difficulties that it is facing at the moment, post-Corona-19 situation. That brings me to the third phase of my argument. The third is the Pakistan-Afghanistan dimension. What is happening out there? Are we focused on that? In fact, if you look at it, it is pretty discouraging for India. You see, America has almost given up. It is almost Vietnam situation emerging there. They are on the run. They want to just disappear. They just want to get out of Afghanistan. The only thing is that because of NATO involvement, because of international community's involvement in Afghanistan, unlike in the case of Vietnam, they are unable to run quickly. They are saying that we will do it in phases, perhaps over a period of next 2-3 years, because they have said that by 2021, they will be able to withdraw all their forces. And they have already slashed down the budget, the dole by about $1 billion. As you all know, Afghanistan cannot maintain itself without international help. Afghanistan at the moment has about 350,000 soldiers or security forces, for maintenance of whom Afghanistan requires at the minimum about between $3.5 to $4 billion. And Americans and their allies are coming out with about $4.5, $4.6 billion, enough to keep the security situation from going astray. So now that they have already withdrawn $1 billion, you can imagine what is going to happen. It is difficult for the Kabul administration to take on the Taliban. The Taliban is solidly being backed by Pakistan. Herein comes the Pakistan dimension. Pakistan has somehow coaxed, cajoled, persuaded the people, the Taliban, to come to the negotiating table. And that is what has earned huge praise from Americans at the moment. Because if you know, Trump in his election manifesto last time when he was fighting for presidential elections, he had said that he will withdraw American forces from all quarters of earth. They have already withdrawn from Iraq, and they are trying to withdraw from Afghanistan. So now if they are withdrawing from Afghanistan, they have to they found out they have to find out a way of mobilizing Pakistan. So there is excellent relationship now between CIA and ISI. So even if I'm sorry to tell you this, in 1988-89, you found when Pakistan was trying to divert the attention of the jihadis towards Kashmir, the CIA looked the other way, because there was excellent relationship between CIA and ISI at that point of time. Today also, we are again revisiting a moment of history where Pakistani CIA, ISI and American CIA are in excellent relationship at the moment. You will be surprised to know that during the course of last 2 years, CIA has ensured that all these Baloch nationalists who had set up their camps or shops in Afghanistan are being selectively targeted and taken out. Not only that, the TTP, Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan people, who had posed a critical existential threat to Pakistani state and Pakistani army, they are also being targeted by American drones. So all this security, anxieties of Pakistan are being taken care of by American intelligence and American security forces. So that doesn't give enough hope for us to approach Afghanistan in an optimistic manner. What we have is, we have excellent relationship with Northern Alliance members. As you know, Afghanistan has 4 major ethnic groups within it. The Pashtuns, the Tajiks, the Hazaras and the Uzbeks. The Tajiks, Hazaras and Uzbeks are friendly towards India, as you know. But somehow the kind of relationship that we had with the Northern Alliance in 1990s is perhaps not there today, because the Northern Alliance itself is a divided house. We have excellent relationship with perhaps some actors like Abdullah, like Amrullah Saleh, and like few others, I'm forgetting at the moment. but we do not have as much relation, as strong relations as we had in the past. So in the event of a change in leadership in Afghanistan, it will be difficult on our part to have as much importance as we have at the moment with the Ghani administration. So we have to keep that in mind. So Afghan situation is also turning out to be another interesting crisis, in the sense that even if Americans are backing Kabul, they are not being able to get Abdullah and Ghani together. So that is also creating problems for the Kabul administration. The non-Taliban political leadership has not shown any appetite for coming together and taking on the Taliban. Only yesterday, Taliban came out with a constitution, a draft plan, a blueprint. And people tell me from Kabul, I'm yet to lay my hands on it, but people tell me, people who have looked at it, they tell me that it is in no way different from what Taliban had in mind during 1996 and 2001. So in that sense, you will have a lot of Islamist or Islamist politics coming up in Afghanistan, which will be a cause for concern for all of us here. And let me tell you another thing. All these elements, TTP elements, all these Haqqani elements, they are intensely and virulently anti-India. And if you go by AQIS, Al-Qaeda in Indian subcontinent, and its leader, which is that Dr. Ayman al-Zawahiri, and AQIS leadership is, of course, he's not leader of AQIS, he's leader of Al-Qaeda. He came out with an interesting video last year, where he said that we need to get into Kashmir. And Pakistan will be tempted to use them in Kashmir post-withdrawal, post-American withdrawal. Do we have enough discussion and dialogue with America on this? Can America really impress upon ISI the concern of India about this possible infiltration of these jihadi elements into Kashmir? Can Americans impress upon Imran Khan and the army the fact that they should not be creating yet another militant militancy situation in Kashmir post withdrawal from Afghanistan? We are not sure. We do not know, and I do not know whether we can trust Americans enough on this. So in that sense, I would say that the developments in the Western theater that we get to see at the moment is pretty disturbing. It's not comforting at all. And I gather from my friends in the army, from intelligence, and from scholars who are in Kashmir at the moment, that Kashmir is ready to burst. There are a lot of signals which are coming at the moment that this spring is going to be one of the one of the bloodiest springs ever. I still caution them. I say that don't jump to any conclusion, because this time round Indian security forces are very, very prepared, unlike in the past. And I don't think it will be as bad. But this is what people tell me from the ground zero. So in that sense, given the kind of situation that is unfolding in the neighborhood, there will be an excessive temptation to turn the tide towards India. And we need to be very, very careful as to how to handle all this. So I think I will rest my case here. Let us slip into a discussion mode. Let us try to find out what kind of queries you have. I would like to address them. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ashok ji. Thanks for an excellent, initial canvas that you set, an overview that you gave about the Western neighborhood. But maybe if you could go a little bit in terms of other issues like Iran, for instance, the Iranian situation. And of course, I had asked you to speak about
POJK. Right. Yes, sorry. I forgot to add POJK and Iran. Yeah. You see, Iran, at the moment, Iran-Pakistan relationship has been mended. Like it is not as bad as it used to be 2 years earlier. At the moment, there is a lot of sympathy and empathy between the two countries, which was absent for quite some time. It's not the case that Iran is not trying to woo us. They're trying to woo us also, because on Chabahar they continue to ask us for help, because they do not want to put all their eggs in one basket. They don't want China to help them always on all aspects of Iranian economy. So they want us as friends, but Iran-Pakistan relationship is something which is stepping up well. In that sense, I'm saying that when this corona crisis struck, Pakistan didn't allow a lot of pilgrims to come back to Pakistan from Iran. Iran suffered it with silence. Iran didn't utter a word. And today also, I saw a newspaper clipping which saying that now that they have set up enough isolation centers along Taftan and Torkham, now perhaps the pilgrims can be allowed to come back. So Pakistanis took their time, and Iranians did not utter a word, and that it really strained them quite a lot, because on the Iranian side they had to cater for them. So and you must also remember that on the issue of Kashmir, Iran has all along been critical of India. In OIC and otherwise, they have always tried to adopt a stand which is not music to our ears, right? So this is Iran, and Iran is, as you know, Iran is a hotspot as far as corona is concerned. So in that sense, Pakistan is having its political relationship with Iran intact, but about the corona disease, they dealt it with a lot of caution, I would say, because now there will be a trickle of pilgrims coming into Pakistan from Iran, but they will be made to stay in the isolation centers, and later on they will be made to go to their respective areas. Mostly, I would say, mostly in Quetta, in Balochistan, and also in POJK. That brings me to POJK. On POJK, I must tell you, as researchers, as somebody who is tracking it very closely, I found no incriminating evidence of Pakistan trying to push coronavirus cases into POJK. This is what came out. It suits our political agenda, nonetheless. If we are drumming it up, if we are putting it out in the international media, that is different. But I didn't find any evidence to that. In fact, what I found on the contrary was this: Pakistan behaved much more responsibly, in the sense that they quickly isolated these groups which were coming back from Iran. They first assembled them in Punjab, near Lahore. They had set up one isolation center there. And from there, gradually they shifted them to a place in Mirpur. And from Mirpur, they are now sending them back to Gilgit-Baltistan. It's not that only the coronavirus cases are being shifted there. It is people who really belong to AJK and GB, Gilgit-Baltistan, they are being shifted. And they had to be shifted to their own places. But they are doing it in a very, very programmatic manner. And army is involved in this. And army also made an urgent appeal to the state administration that when you are setting up these isolation centers, you set up these isolation centers away from military camps, so that the military will not get affected. So this is something that I got to hear. So we should not be reading too much into all this. And another thing I must caution you, that we should not lull ourselves to believe that people in AJK and GB are ready to launch a political or militant struggle against the Pakistani state. This is far from true. This is the furthest from truth. I'm not denying the fact that there are elements in both AJK and GB who are independentists, I call them. Those who want to break away from Pakistan and set up an independent country, or maybe they want to align with Indian Jammu and Kashmir. But they would not, mark my words, they would not make the mistake of raising a militancy against the Pakistani state. There is still not enough critical mass to launch a militant movement like this. Howsoever, fondly, optimistically, we might be wanting that to happen, that is not going to happen at the moment. In fact, on the contrary, Shias, the Shia population, which are so very oppressed and exploited in Pakistan, and especially those staying in Gilgit-Baltistan. As you know, 70%, between 60 to 70% of the people in Gilgit-Baltistan are Shia. The Shias are demanding that Gilgit-Baltistan should be a province of Pakistan. This is an unfortunate. So as much as we try to claim this territory for ourselves, it will be difficult on our part to organize some kind of a revolution there or militancy there. Would be a far cry. That we have to realize. And we must also realize that the terror economy is also keeping them engaged in a way. Why I'm telling you this? That if people from Punjab, Sindh, KP, they are coming and staying in Azad Jammu and Kashmir, or for that matter, Gilgit-Baltistan, and they are also having their, camps, their, facilities out there, that also serves the local economy. So this terrorist economy is also kind of making people of that terrain very sympathetic and empathetic towards this whole exercise, even if they might not be wholeheartedly supporting it. For example, the Mirpuris are very, very annoyed and very, very upset about the way Pakistanis are treating them. But they are not the ones who are going to rebel. So we have to take that into account. So this corona case is likely to have an impact in POJK directly, especially in Gilgit-Baltistan. Now that there will be more pilgrims coming into Pakistan from Iran, they will directly go to Gilgit-Baltistan. Pakistani army will ensure that. They do not want the Shias to face double crisis there, one from the Sunnis and the other from coronavirus. So they will like to take them to isolation centers in AJK, POK, and also in Gilgit-Baltistan. So that we have to take into account. But as I look at the situation, local situation in AJK and GB, there is not enough, dissension vis-a-vis Islamabad or Imran Khan. So that we have to take into account. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. I had asked you a question. Should India ever think of taking those territories back? And if at all we decide, what do you think should we be doing?
You see, this is a very hypothetical question that you have hurled at me. And I don't think even the Prime Minister has an answer. As much as a nationalist Indian, I would like the entire terrain to be under our control. That much I can say. This is a very fond hope. Yeah. But we cannot be oblivious to the reality on the ground.
True.
Because we are having a frank conversation. Here I am not here to mislead you or stuff you with lies and provoke you into creating an atmosphere which will force Indian government into war. Yeah. So I'm not going to do that. But what I'm getting to see on the ground is this. On the ground, there is no appetite yet for merging this territory with India, as far as the popular sentiment is concerned. This popular sentiment is not fixed, it's not static, it is dynamic. We have to keep working at it. It has to be a work in progress. But the problem is we have not yet started it. Now that is the problem. And we are not also hopeful about it. I am very optimistic. If I start today, maybe 50 years hence, there will be a situation where these people will try to join us, not Pakistan. Because the way the graph is going now in Pakistan, most of the ethnic minorities are saying that, we are not going to be part of a Punjab-dominated Pakistan. But we have to create a situation where we will develop stakes within Pakistan. But unfortunately, the problem with us is we are thinking exactly like Pakistan is thinking. We are thinking about Pakistan as an Islamic state, and Pakistan is thinking about us as a Hindu state. So there is a, I would say, correlation between the two. We should stop looking at Pakistan as an Islamic state, because Islam, in my own opinion, has not united Pakistan. It has divided them. There are Shias, there are Sunnis. Within Sunnis, there are Deobandis, there are Barelvis, there are Ahle Hadith, there are Ahle Sunnah. There are different groups and who are fighting amongst themselves. We need to get into this fault line. We need to have our own stakes out there, which we are not doing.
Yeah.
Problem is that is creating an opportunity for Pakistani managers of the state to create a situation, to create an atmosphere where anti-India sentiments can be generated in a manner that will act as a binding force. Because Islam has failed. Islam has failed to bind Pakistan together. Overemphasis on Islam in Pakistan has led to this state. If you lay too much emphasis on Islam, then people say, which Islam are you talking about? Yeah. Jamaat-e-Islami has a particular way of defining Islam. This Lashkar-e-Taiba group, Jamiatul Ahle Hadith, they have a particular way of defining Islam. Deobandis, they have a different way of looking at Islam. The Barelvis, they have a different way of looking at Islam. Which Islam are you talking about? Ziaul Haq, if you remember, he didn't roll out his Islamic agenda beyond 2 months. After 2 months, he had to roll it back, or stop it. Because the Shias came to Islamabad, sat in Dharna in front of the GHQ and told them that you cannot impose this Islam on us. So it is Islam of different varieties who have been militantized over the years, who are fighting amongst themselves. So Pakistan is now has invented a new way of keeping the society together. That is by spawning, by circulating anti-India sentiments amongst the people. So in that sense, we have an opportunity, but we are throwing it away and we are not looking at it objectively. One way of looking at it is this. During the Cold War, what happened? Russia had also very good brains. The Americans, what they did, they lured them into US. The best brains, they migrated to US by and by. They made a difference between the state and the people. We need to learn from that experience, and that led to the failure of Soviet Union, and not their misadventure in Afghanistan. Of course, misadventure in Afghanistan also had its role to play, a major role to play, but also because USSR was progressively de-brained. ब्रेन्स जो है ना सब चले गए वहां पे. हमारे यहाँ पे क्या प्रॉब्लम है, अगर हम उनको कहीं खिलाने के लिए लाते हैं तो लोग खड़े हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ भी एक पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ एक मुद्दा क्रिएट किया गया है. वी आर लुकिंग टू मच इनटू पाकिस्तान थ्रू द इस्लामिक लेंस. अगर if you invite, there are so many people, I would give you another interesting fact, which is quite invisible in our analysis. Mark my words. 2005, 2003, the India-Pakistan talks started off. 2005, the Jagaran Manch of India, which at that point of time there was an RSS person who was also involved with Jagaran Manch. They came to me and said that, hey, can you help us? We have to organize an opinion poll about India-Pakistan relations. So let us do it. I said, let us do it. My own blood brother is a cephalologist. So what I did, I asked some friends of mine in Pakistan to help us. We conducted an interesting survey. There were about 32 questions. But one central question, one moot question was this: do you think India and Pakistan should be friends in spite of non-resolution of the Kashmir issue? We asked in Pakistan. And in India, we asked a similar question: do you think India and Pakistan should be friends in spite of the fact that Pakistan may not oblige India on the issue of terrorism? Do you know what the result was? The result was very interesting. On the Pakistani side, it was 2005. And on the Pakistani side, the response was 96% yes. I will tell you another interesting anecdote. A friend of mine, Babar Sattar, who is a very well-known lawyer there, and he comes regularly in the TV shows. He told me this. He said when he goes to his office, he stops by to get his cigarette. So in the cigarette shop, there is a bill there. You know, there is a small bill there. And it is written there, Udhar Band, Kashmir ki Azadi Tak. Udhar Band, Kashmir ki Azadi Tak.
Okay.
That means the people in Pakistan know very well that they will never have Kashmir unto themselves. Right? So against that background, I'm saying 96% of the people said that, you know, whether Kashmir is resolved or not, India and Pakistan should be friends. Right? On the Indian side, the corresponding figure was 65%. Because we are very concerned about terrorism flowing in from Pakistan. Well, come 9/11, 26/11. 26/11 ke baad, the Pew Research Center, they conducted a similar survey in Pakistan. And Pakistani media was more than eager to propel an anti-India sentiment in Pakistan at that point of time. In spite of it, do you know what the answer, what the percentage was? It was about 48%. 48% of the Pakistanis believed that India and Pakistan should remain friends. So this is interesting. And further ahead, in 2017, there was a similar opinion poll. There also, the percentage was about 47%. The point I'm making is, there is a lot of goodwill in Pakistan about, you know, the India-Pakistan relationship. And very interestingly quiet, I will come to the question that is being posed to me, but very interestingly quiet, if you look at Imran Khan's election, right, there was a fellow called Nawaz Sharif once upon a time. Nawaz Sharif was the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And he came to power by saying that I will make friendship with India. In 2013 elections, he came to power by saying that I will, if I am elected, I will make India and Pakistan friends, not enemies. And he avoided the army's suggestions and came to Prime Minister Modi's swearing in, right? So what happened? After he came in, he went back, he provoked the wrath of the military. And military was after him and he was pushed out, right? In this election, in the last election, last year, 2019 elections, or 18 elections, 2018 elections, what happened? This guy was lampooned by the military establishment, by Imran Khan, Modi ka yaar, Gaddar, Gaddar. But do you know what was his poll percentage? Do you know how much votes he polled? In 2013, he had polled 1.4 crore votes. In this election, he polled 1.27 crore votes. So his vote percentage hasn't gone down too much, even if he's sticking to this agenda. So the point I'm making is that there are enough ground in Pakistan for us to explore, to develop our stakes. But we are not doing that. यही मैं कह रहा हूँ. And जो मुझे question पूछा जाता है, why should we talk? ठीक है, हम बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि बात करो. मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि develop stakes within Pakistan. Yeah. Because there are people who are ready to work with you. There are people who are ready to look at India as, you know, as a country which can provide them intellectual succor. So do that. ये हम कर नहीं पा रहे. यही problem है. So अगर नहीं करेंगे, you see, you cannot, you know, we are living in 21st century. where, you cannot expect India to be an island. We cannot shut the internet, the way we did maybe we did it in Kashmir, but we cannot do it in a national scale. So there will be people who will be talking to people across the border. The dialogue will go on, virtual dialogue will go on even if the governments do not talk. So all this is going on. But my problem is we need to, we are not developing all these connections into strategic advantages for us. That we should be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For instance, the Baluchistan issue.
Yes,
Baluch fault
Baluchistan.
lines.
Shia Sunni fault line.
Shia Sunni fault lines.
Deobandi Barelvi fault line. They want a regular visit to Deoband. उनको बुलाओ, उनसे बात करो. And Pathans were always with India.
PTM.
Yeah. In 47 also.
Correct.
In 47, the
Khan
government that was,
Khan.
yeah, the government which was there in
Congress government.
Congress government.
Yeah.
So we need to remove that Islamic lens from our eyes and try to look at them as Pathans, Baloch, and Punjabis and others, rather than as Muslims.
Yeah.
I'll be more candid here. If you look at even the Punjabis, do you know Amrinder Singh, when he organized those Punjab literary festivals, who are so aggrieved that in Pakistan they do not have an opportunity to sell Punjabi literature.
Yeah.
So you can divide them up in so many ways.
Yeah.
If you really want to teach the Pakistani army, the Pakistani elite, power elite, a lesson, because our problem is with the Pakistani elite, with the Pakistani state, with the army, not with the people of Pakistan.
Yeah.
So that difference we have to make.
So that comes to the mute question: why is India not doing it, or Indian establishment not doing it? What do you think are the motivation or the forces behind India not exploiting the fault lines within Pakistan?
I told you one is we're looking at Pakistan too much through the Islamic lens. And the problem is there is not enough research being done on Pakistan. We are not developing as I would say, a powerful intellectual nation, a nation of intellectuals. I'll tell you, in US you see what happens.
Tanks are there.
They will invite somebody from think tank who knows more about Pakistan to head their Pakistan desk.
Yeah.
They will not rely on the bureaucrat.
Yeah, true.
And after the government departs, he will go back to the university and teach people, and those students will come back as policymakers.
Yeah,
so that revolving door is absent here, because the foreign office people, I'm sorry to say this, they are very, very tough conscious. They do not want people from outside to come in to suggest alternatives to them. They think they know enough. You speak to most of our foreign service officers, I'm sorry to say this again, most of the foreign service officers who have gone to Pakistan. Oh, I know Fazlur Rahman. He is a damn good friend of mine. Oh, I know this guy. I know that guy. They live too much in the 80s and the 90s, or during the days they spent in Islamabad. As if Pakistan is static. Pakistan doesn't grow beyond 90s. Yeah. We have to keep pushing credible, unbiased research on Pakistan to understand how that society is evolving.
Yeah, sure.
And get to grips with Pakistan.
Sure.
So we need to be doing too many things at the same time, but we are not prepared for that.
Yeah, I think you rightly said there's one area where probably India has to focus, keeping away this rhetoric that we should, like what US did, throw open another CAA for the Muslims of Pakistan who reject the two-nation theory.
Many of them
going to accept India as the Akhand Bharat. We should throw open. Tariq Fateh is there. Tahir Aslam Gora is there. So many people are there.
Many Shias will come in. Many Shias will come in.
And Baluchis also, yeah.
And that will also create an opportunity for us to get into Pakistan.
Great. Sir, we'll now throw it open for discussion.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Dheeraj, can you, who is the first to go? First is, I think, Guntur Lakshminarayan Garu. Please go ahead, sir.
Sir, namaskaram.
Yeah,
Namaste.
namaskar, namaskar, namaskar.
One of the best speeches that I have heard about, particularly about Pakistan.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
Time that we used to think that it is an Islamic and divided on the religious base and all those things. But today you have really made an excellent point. Sir, how much time do you think that as far as the Kashmir is concerned to set our Kashmir into the safe? Presently after removal of 370 article, there is a lot of disturbance that is taking place. When Pakistan can stop this, and what would be our counteraction to this after the post-corona era? This potentiality and the capacity to protect these areas and pushing the army into the Indian territories.
Okay. Should I answer one by one?
Yeah, please go ahead. Or it's your call.
No, I think I do not want to say something which will please you very much. We are at least about 2 decades, 2 to 3 decades away from complete peace in Kashmir. Because as I look at it, the people that are arraigned against us in Pakistan, they are not going to stop their propaganda against us. They are not going to stop pushing militancy against us. They will keep doing it. And they will also not stop they will not also stop using China against us as well. So in that sense, I would imagine that Kashmir will continue to be a problem, will be a thorn in our flesh for next at least 2 to 3 decades, unless we come out with a very pragmatic and a very open-minded approach towards towards Kashmir. Because you see, whether we like it or not, the road to peace in Jammu and Kashmir, somehow or other, passes through Islamabad. And we, like Girdharji very aptly, very rightly suggested in the opening statement of his, that here is a Dushman, here is an enemy which is not going to disappear. It will be, sometimes we underrate our enemy, not knowing that there is so much of, strategic advantages that Pakistan has compared to us, that Pakistan will never be allowed to go down by China, by US, by Russia, by Iran, by other countries, Saudi Arabia. They will never, mark my words, allow Pakistan to go down the drain. Pakistan will keep fingering you. Pakistan will keep disturbing you, irritating you. It may not walk away with slices of territory from India, but it will keep irritating us. One day he called me, he said that I'm passing by, can I come down? I said, okay, you come down. So then he tells me, you see, problem is, you people कभी सुधरते नहीं हो आप लोग, जैसे हम नहीं सुधरते हैं वैसे आप भी नहीं सुधरते हो. तो मैंने कहा मतलब क्या कहना चाहते हो? मैंने कहा देखो तुम माइंड यू 10 साल पहले आप बिफोर 10 years situation had come to a normal in Jammu and Kashmir. So they thought things are stepping up in a way that Jammu and Kashmir, people of Jammu and Kashmir have started looking away from us, right? So he told me, आप जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में सुलह करा रहे हो, we will get into other domains. मैंने कहा कौन सा जाओगे, कहाँ जाओगे? बोले कि आपके यहाँ पे उस टाइम if you remember the left wing extremism had come in a big way, the Maoists. He said we are getting into that domain. I said, are you serious? Do you know the Maoists are intense nationalists? They're very violent nationalists. तो मुझे बोलता है, अरे उनको पता चले हम उसको पैसा देते हैं तब ना. So just mark my words, that really woke me up, that set me up. I said, this is the way things are. So Pakistan will keep irritating us. We have failed to take advantage of fault lines in Pakistan. They are not going to sit silently. They will keep working on our fault lines.
Okay.
I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, yeah. I think we have muted him. As I said,
Yeah.
you know, as soon as question is asked, we normally mute it. Yeah,
Okay.
Lakshmanan Garu, you want to add something? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, can't we do the reverse espionage in Pakistan? They have the weaknesses, and we can't do something disturbance, particularly in Balochistan.
That is what he's saying. We are unable to exploit those fault lines. That is what he's saying. We are not doing it.
Can we, if we think?
If we think, we are not thinking. That is the problem. That is
Can
exactly
we-
what he's saying.
No. To be very to be fair to our intelligence agencies, they might be working or they might be trying their bit, but they're not trying perhaps enough. Perhaps, you know, the strategy towards doing all this is not well developed. That much I can say.
I think next is Teja Murtula. Teja Murtula Garu, please go ahead.
No. To come back to the other query that you were,
Yeah. We will,
one minute. I'll take 1 minute. Yeah, I'll take 1 minute. That he's saying Pakistan is surviving because we are not doing enough. That is not true. Even the Pakistan that we get to see today is not the Pakistan that was there in 47.
Yeah.
You should remember this. We have already sliced off half of its territory.
Yeah.
So the problem is now how to go about this part of West Pakistan now. In that, you know, we have been lacking strategy. That is what I am saying.
Sure. Teja Murtula Garu, please go ahead.
Ashok ji, namaskar.
Yeah. Namaskar.
Your speech was excellent and very excellent. First time I am hearing like this. And one
you.
straight question: this terrorism, what they are increasing or encouraging, is it against the Indian only or in the world as a general? First thing. And second thing, you have mentioned that India is not doing enough work to make use of the situation prevailing in Pakistan to weaken the Pakistan, like what USA has done with the USSR and other things. Okay. In this connection, do you feel our bureaucrats or babus, what we call them, okay, needs to be conducted some workshop to understand properly what is Pakistan, which can be advantageous for India to have a peaceful state. This is second. The third thing, you mentioned that USA, China and Middle East are not allowing or will not allow Pakistan to be made unprotected against the India. So, in this connection, I want your expert opinion on this.
There are three questions, not one.
Yes, sir.
To come to your other question, whether Pakistan is using terror against other countries, देखिए, we have to be very, very practical. मैं self-righteous नहीं बनना चाहता हूँ. हम नहीं किए हैं terrorism use. Every country uses terrorism against its potential enemy. We have done it against Sri Lanka. We have used Mukti Bahini against Pakistan. We have done it. So it's not an immoral act. And states are amoral. States are beyond moral judgments. So Pakistan is doing it because it is thinking that we cannot take on a nuclear state. We can only take it on through this subversion. So this is a strategy which has been there since the Roman times.
Okay.
You know, state जब तक रहेगा ना इस तरह की strategies रहेंगे. और Pakistan is using it against India. It is using it against Afghanistan. It has used it against Iran also in certain ways. So they have been doing it. And I will tell you, if we were Pakistan, we would also be doing it. Suppose we would have been one country, Pakistan and India together, we would be playing the same game. So ये अलग बात है. But what Pakistan is doing is betraying my intelligence.
That is what, sir.
India kept pushing the envelope on terrorism in Sri Lanka till it realized that it is hurting us. And then we stopped it. Pakistan has realized that it is hurting them. but it has not stopped this. That is the difference. I keep telling my friends in Pakistan that you all now realize that it is hurting you. Why don't you stop it? But they are not stopping it. That's something that we need to keep in mind. And third thing you are saying that why you are not doing enough. I think we do not have a clear-cut strategy. Perhaps we are being too altruistic in our own ways. We do not want things to go beyond a point.
Sir, one more small extension. This during this last week, Mr. Professor Isaac was talking about the development of these small clusters all over India and various states that are disturbing the peace and harmony of the democracy in India. Okay. In the wake of this present situation in Pakistan, how do you foresee whether these clusters are also becoming an internal security problem for our India?
देखिए ये तो हमारी घर की बात है ना, हमें मैनेज करना है ये चीज. We have to, every government has a responsibility to make its people feel secure. कोई भी हो, ये गवर्नमेंट का एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. अगर हम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, then we have to blame ourselves. Cannot blame Pakistan for it. And Pakistan will like to take advantage of them. We should know this. If we are not doing this, then Pakistan will come in. So in that sense, the leadership will have to play a role. जैसे आपका जो व्हाट्सएप आर्मी में आप गलत चीजें घूम रहा है, ये घूमने से सिचुएशन और खराब हो रहा है, समझ रहे ना. वी नीड टू बी वेरी वेरी रैशनल, वेरी वेरी रीजन. देखिए हमारी मातृभूमि हमारी जो इंडिया जो है ना, ये बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग मातृभूमि है. आप देखिए अशोका से तो ज्यादा कोई वायलेंट था नहीं. He killed a million people in Odisha, in my country, once upon a time. And a country, मतलब मेरा देश जो है, but after that, what did he do? He allowed every religion to prosper in his kingdom. ये country का कुछ अलग अंदाज है, कुछ अलग मिठास है. हम सेमाइटिक नहीं बनना चाहिए. अगर हम कर रहे हैं तो प्रॉब्लम ये हो रहा है ना, we are aping them. उनके स्टाइल हम जा रहे हैं. हमारी मातृभूमि, हमारी जो शक्ति, हमारी जो सोच, हमारी जो चिंताधारा, हमारी जो पौराणिक और तात्विक जो एजेंडा है, वो कुछ अलग है. And we should allow that to govern our thoughts. ऐसे अगर कहीं छोटे जगह में लोग आ जाते हैं, हमारे खिलाफ खड़े हो जाते हैं और गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ बोलते हैं, पार्टी के खिलाफ बोलते हैं, तो हम उनको देशद्रोही नहीं मानना चाहिए. हमें, मेरा कहना ये है. देखिए घर में 5 लोग होते हैं, एक बंदा जो है ना वो बहुत गलत काम करता है, वो जाके एनिमी के साथ मिलके भी कभी प्रॉब्लम करता है, तो घर में क्या किया जाता है? तो पापा जो होता है ना, वो सबको बुलाता है, उसको बिठाता है, वो समझाता है, वो मान भी जाता है. ये होना चाहिए. एंड ट्रस्ट, इफ यू ट्रस्ट देम, they will give back trust to you. If you distrust them, if you keep pushing them towards the wall, they will kick you. So ये एक thought है जो कि we need to factor into our strategies.
Yeah, sure. We accepted Charwak as a rishi.
Yes.
I mean, we are known to accept a lot of nonsense on us.
Runam krutva grutang pivet javat jivet sukham jivet, which is anti-economy. But we considered him as a philosopher.
Yeah, true. Professor J.S. Murthy garu.
And not only that, you know, you look at Ravana. Ravana ka Shiva Tandava, everybody picks up.
Yeah.
Ravana is such a reviled character in a way, but his Shiva Tandava is all over the place. Even when I was a child, my grandfather would ask me to parrot it. You know, what is that called? Prafulla Nilapankaja Prapancha Kalima Prabhabalambi Kantakandali Ruchi Prabhadakandharam Smarachidam Purachidam Bhavachidam Makachidam Gajachidam Dakachidam Tamantakachidam Bhaje. I would not have been able to remember them now, but I remembered them then.
Yeah.
Because you know that is part of our tradition. We have a tradition of क्या कहते हैं, endearing the enemy. चलिए आगे.
Sure, sir. Professor J.S. Murthy garu.
Yes, sir. Can I?
Yeah. You're online, sir. Please tell me. Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. I'm really happy to hear such a beautiful, elaborate, and nice, clear lecture. And I have one or two questions.
Thank you, sir.
One thing is, where should I start? See, do we have any recognizable think tanks working in this country, just like in US or Europe or elsewhere, just for the sake of think and producing some kind of intellectual inputs, if necessary, for the government or relating agencies to pick up? Just like recently, I don't know whether you have gone through the book Breaking India by Raju Malhotra. There are several efforts all over the world to break India, and then what they are doing, all that. Similarly, are there any efforts from our side to know, as you said, the detailed, what is called, we don't look Pakistan as Islam, but there is a divided Islamic units there, okay. But are there any efforts from any part of the country or any part of the world to promote this and make them understand the reality of a nation to coexist instead of projecting themselves as Islam or something, this Islam or that Islam, and violence? One thing. The second thing I want to talk to you, we have, everybody, you have a very good knowledge, and you gave a sweeping statement on foreign, that is ambassadors. I know one of few ambassadors who are really good and they did their best service to India. Okay, one thing. And I know, but bureaucracy in general, it is their attitude. They think that we know everything. But how to tackle this? This is time to make them understand, to also, because what I say and what you say is not the final. There are hundreds of people who think and contribute on this kind of thought processes. And what we do and what we project is the information available with us. And there are more people, I think, are getting better information, and particularly sitting in the government. If they are interested, they get a comprehensive information from various quarters, and a final decision has to be taken. So regarding this, while appreciating your presentation, what do you think what we should do? Please tell me.
देखिए, आप जो बोले ना, my intention was not to cover all diplomats under one umbrella.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to want to say that. I said that, at the moment, for a country of 130 crore people,
yeah,
how many Pakistan experts you have?
Yeah.
How many?
Yeah, I know.
If you look at in the height of Cold War, if you look at United States of America, कोई भी यूनिवर्सिटी आप ले लीजिए, टेक एनी यूनिवर्सिटी, एनी थिंक टैंक, कहीं भी आप पत्थर डालिए, वो रशिया एक्सपोर्ट में निकलता था.
Yes.
तो यहाँ पे ना वो there is no such effort to nurture, nourish, and grow that kind of talent. So in the absence of that, we are by default, we are relying on these people who have once upon a time served in Pakistan. And they keep doling out those nostalgic anecdotes, which has no relation to the reality on the ground at the moment. So they are totally biased. Totally, they live in past. They don't have enough grip about the developments there. That's not to say that not all of them are like that. There are people also who are refreshingly different. So point I'm making is, what happens? A situation has come where the discussion that policymakers should have with different stakeholders in the country is not taking place. It is, if you look at the decision-making structure, it is so centralized and so limited to a few people that people having real knowledge of issues are not being allowed to get into that circle. Rather, the decision making should be a more collegial in nature. You should have, like I was telling you, in US, you have a professor suddenly becoming, Henry Kissinger was a professor. Then he became a Secretary of State. Then he went back and taught. Now Lisa Kutis, who is now determining South Asia policy, was a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine. She was at one point of time a Pakistan expert in Hudson Center. You know, they have developed that ability to use expertise to the betterment of the country, to the benefit of the country. Here, हमारा unfortunately वो नहीं हो पा रहा है. And second thing that you asked me, is there any way of telling these people that that better forms of Islam are there, better forms of looking at better ways of looking at religion is there, and try to peddle it and disseminate it in countries like Pakistan. I think there are enough people in Pakistan who are advocating this line. There are people who are saying, like Javed Ghamidi is one of them, like you mentioned, Tarek Fatah is one of them. They are coming out and saying all this stuff that, well, we are bringing a bad reputation to a religion like Islam. So there is there. But the problem is, in Pakistan at the moment, there is a competitive radicalization at work. Most of these different groups, like Deobandis, Barelvis, Ahl Hadith, and other groups, they are trying to come out with a very inflexible, rigid version of Islam. So the situation in Pakistan is unsuitable for this kind of pacifist thinking. What we need to do is, we need to cultivate the peace constituency in Pakistan. That we are not doing. This is a long haul. You see, Pakistan is not going to step up within a day or two. Like Vikas is now asking me, Barelvi, if Barelvi will come to power, will it step up well? No, because Barelvis are more radical than Deobandis in certain aspects of Islam. It was a Barelvi who killed Salman Taseer, Atis Taseer's father. Yeah. He was killed by a Barelvi. So in Pakistan, the situation is such that they do not have ears for rational thinking. तो उसमें हमें क्या करना चाहिए? हमारा स्टेक्स तो ज्यादा है वहां पे, सॉरी स्टेक्स नहीं है अभी, सॉरी स्टेक्स ज्यादा है बट डेप्थ नहीं है, तो हमें डेप्थ इंक्रीज करना पड़ेगा. We have to work with people who are liberal, who are like-minded, who are peace oriented. ये हमें करना पड़ेगा.
So, but the point is, I think what Murthy ji is asked is, what can we do with the bureaucracy? I think it's a political issue. I mean, politicians will have to catch them by the horn. That's not happening. What you rightly said, I think they have, the bureaucracy in India has again reasserted themselves, even under Modi too right now. That is a worrisome thing. I think the politician will have to, let me unmute Murthy. I think the politicians will have to somehow rein in this. As individuals, we can only create these pressure groups, and we can have these kinds of debates and bring it out. But ultimately, it is the politician who has to rein in these bureaucrats. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening, or at least an interest in doing that. I mean, I think for the answer to what Professor Murthy has asked, I think that is.
I briefly indicated it. In a situation where power gets centralized, this problem develops. Yeah. Like many of my friends tell me that power now today is as centralized as it used to be during Mrs. Gandhi's time. Yeah. So in that situation, what happens? The political leadership becomes so dependent on the bureaucracy that they don't want to irritate them, disturb them, bring them to book, and talk reason to them. Yeah. What they should be doing is, they should be making themselves available for discussions with disparate groups, not only the bureaucrats. That is not happening. That is not happening.
Absolutely. That's a worrisome thing for us, right?
Worrisome.
Yeah. I think let's take the next question. K. Suryanarayan garu. K. Suryanarayan garu, please go ahead, sir. Dheeraj, yeah, you can speak. You can speak, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Yeah. Hello. No, your voice is not audible. Your voice is not audible. Hello? No, I think there is some problem.
Has he been unmuted? Has he been unmuted?
Yeah. He's been unmuted. Yeah. I think there's some problem at his end actually.
Okay, we can shift to.
Yeah, we will come back to him. Next is DSR Murthy Garu. DSR Murthy Garu from Guntur. Please go ahead, sir.
Namaste, Dr. Ashok Garu. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Namaste, Dr. Ji. Ashok Garu. I think he is. Hello.
One second.
Okay, sir.
1 second. I think. Yeah. DSR Murthy Garu, go ahead. Yeah.
Namaste, Dr. Ashok Garu.
Namaste.
Okay, I'm a cousin of Sanjay Pulipaka, Nehru Memorial Museum, senior.
Oh, yeah, Sanjay is a good friend, yes.
Yeah, he's my cousin. Anyway,
Yeah.
Today your talk is so much eloquent and enlightening on various dimensions. Okay. As you have noted, the US is withdrawing from Afghanistan.
बंद कर दे लो बेटा को. हाँ. Yes, please go ahead.
As you have noted, the US is withdrawing from Afghanistan as a consequence from Iran to Central Asia and Russia. There will be absolutely no American presence. Can China sustain its presence in Central Asia without scaling up presence in Afghanistan? That is my.
Can you come again?
Okay.
Presence of?
US is withdrawing from Afghanistan. As you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As a consequence from Iran through Central Asia and Russia, there will be absolutely no American presence. Can China sustain its presence in Central Asia without scaling up presence in Afghanistan?
Okay. You mean to say, you are saying whether China can fill the vacuum?
Yeah.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. No.
Without scaling up.
I'll tell you, the Americans are not going out in a hurry from the region. They might be leaving Afghanistan, but they are not going out of the region because as much as Trump would like to do it, they have their vessels in the Gulf. They have their presence in the Gulf, and they will continue to monitor everything from there. And most importantly, we are forgetting, Pakistan is more than ready to host Americans. So they can keep an eye on the developments in Afghanistan from there. But all the same, they will have to ensure that they continue to pump in about $3 to $4 billion for the next at least 5 to 6 years to keep their influence at least intact in Afghanistan. Because at the moment, the China is not doling out anything. Together over the last about 17-18 years, China has pumped in about $300 million, while we have pumped in $2.5 billion. So China doesn't have the wherewithal to step in as a country which can replace America in Afghanistan. They are not in the habit of establishing colonies like that. They are very cleverer. They're cleverer than that. What they do, they did in Hambantota. You see, there is a beautiful comparison between what Chinese are doing now and what the East India Company used to do in 17th, 18th century. It is similar. So they are just setting up their commercial posts. They are just setting up their commercial posts in Hambantota, in Pakistan, in Gwadar, and in Djibouti, in Africa, in entire western coast of Indian Ocean, Western Indian Ocean, and the eastern coast of Africa. They have made their presence felt, but they are not going in with their armies. They are going in as basically entrepreneurs, as investors. So China will be there as an economic actor, as a financial actor, but not as a strategic actor of the scale that US was. So that is what I have to say.
Sure. Thanks, sir. Next is Raka Sudhakarji. Rakaji, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I have three questions. The first is, have we inadvertently strengthened Pakistan by dismembering Bangladesh? Have we made it a more coherent nation where, you know, a military adventurism either in Balochistan or in Gilgit-Baltistan becomes problematic for India because of the logistic things more than anything else? This is the first thing that I wanted to ask. And the second thing, the pre-integration, pre-accession Jammu Kashmir is not one geographical or cultural unit. There have been 4 or 5 different units. Gilgit was different, Baltistan was different, and then the Mirpur, Muzaffarabad were different. So, is this one of the reasons why Gilgit and Baltistan do not have an umbilical connection or an emotional connection with the with India? The third question that I want to ask is, when the whole power is centered in the hands of the military, how can we actually raise the stakes of the peaceniks in that state? People who actually you know, talk about peace are the people who are powerless, who have no stakes in the governance, in the decision making. So what is the use of pandering to those sections when they do not really hold any real power? Thank you.
You see, first question is, you know, whether we strengthen Pakistan by dismembering it. In fact, the Pakistanis do not take it that way. Pakistanis say that this is an insult which they cannot devour, and in fact their entire strategy has been to dismember India like they dismembered Pakistan in 1971. But to come back to the question, even if Bangladesh would not have been there, you see, Pakistan would have been excessively focused on Bangladesh. This is what you mean to say, that would have given us some opportunity to also to weaken Pakistan further. But I don't think the situation had reached such a level in Bangladesh that Pakistan would have been able to keep it for long. You know, things would have developed in a manner that, you know, today we have an obliging constituency in Bangladesh, and if they would have won their independence all by themselves, they would not have looked at us at all.
Exactly.
So this is one thing. Second thing is, has it left Pakistan stronger? I would say that, you know, Pakistan was as strong as it was in 1971 today, because the anti-Punjabi sentiment has in fact accentuated after that. It's not true that Pakistan doesn't have the division. Pakistan didn't have the division earlier, but that division has become much more
accentuated,
much more severe after Bangladesh formation of Bangladesh. In fact, if you remember, at that point of time, West Pakistan came together to fight it out in Bangladesh. But today, it's a sorry state. You see what this Pashtun Tahaffuz movement is doing. You see what the Balochis are doing. And Sindhis, trust me, if you go to the rural Sindh, I have never been there, but I have many friends out there. And they are emotionally with a narrative which is closer to the narrative that we get to see in nation building exercises in India. Sindhis, they have a lot of affinity, culturally speaking, emotionally speaking, with India rather than with Pakistan. So we have not been able to exploit all this. The second question that you asked was
about Jammu Kashmir,
Gilgit-Baltistan. I think you are bang there. Jammu and Kashmir was never a united entity. It was always pulling in several directions, even under the Maharaja.
Yes.
You see, a lot of us do not know this fact, that the person who became the president of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Sardar
Ibrahim.
Sardar Ibrahim. Sardar Ibrahim. Sardar Ibrahim was sponsored by none other than the cousin of Raja Hari Singh, because he was in Poonch, and Poonch was always a counterpoint to Srinagar all throughout the period when Jammu and Kashmir came up as an independent entity. Not independent entity, as a separate entity. So in that sense, in Jammu and Kashmir, it was not only between Muslims and Hindus, but also between Hindus as well. The Hindu princedom of Poonch and Rajouri and Poonch always militated against the kingdom of Hari Singh or the kingdom of Kashmir. So, and not only that, you are saying Gilgit and Baltistan. Gilgit and Baltistan is ethnically very diverse, very diverse. Even within Gilgit, we have different regions. You have Daimar, you have Astor, you have Hunja, you have Nagar. There are so many. In Baltistan, you have Skardu. There are so many ethnic identities involved there. They could never come together as a common entity, as a united entity. So that also comes in the way of our effort to integrate all this. And they emotionally militant against each other. Even within Gilgit-Baltistan, Daimar has a Sunni majority population.
Yes.
Whereas if you go beyond Daimar, you have Shia majority population. And the Shias are also not one; they are divided. They are Ismailis, they are non-Ismailis, and they do not talk to each other. They also fight against each other. So it's a kind of it's a mini India out there. If you look at the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir as it was under Hari Singh, it is mini India. There were a lot of ethnic categories out there, and they were constantly fighting with each other. So that also comes in the way. But to come to whether it would have been prudent on our part to cultivate people who could have sparked militancy in their terrain, I think because of the border available in the Skardu sector, we could have done that. But the problem is we never thought about it seriously. And if we go by historical judgment of the people who were at the helm of affairs at that point of time, especially Sheikh Abdullah, then Jawaharlal Nehru, Mountbatten, Sardar Patel, and others, there was a lot of ways in which this entire issue of Jammu and Kashmir was imagined. Nehru was very emotionally attached to Jammu and Kashmir, and that is why Jammu and Kashmir is with us today, because Patel had a different idea altogether. Patel wanted it to be exchanged with Hyderabad.
Traded, yes.
Trading, yeah, swapping.
Yes.
Swapping. So, and Mountbatten had a different idea. Mountbatten wanted the LOC to be ceasefire line at that point of time to be made a de facto border so that Kashmir can be effectively divided between Pakistan and India. So there were a lot of actors out there with a lot of imaginations. With the benefit of hindsight, we may hold them responsible, but I will not like to hold them responsible because they are all right in their own ways. Because you cannot fault them for having taken the decision at that point of time to take it to the United Nations. Many people are saying Nehru shouldn't have taken it to United Nations and all, but they do not know. Nehru took it to United Nations because he was alarmed, and he was allotted by a mole in Pakistan who told them that if you are not taking it, then Pakistan will take the fast movers advantage. So they had already prepared the draft to take it to United Nations, right? So in that sense, a lot of things which we have to look at it very objectively. We should not be guided by emotions alone. So, and that there was another important actor at that point of time. He was Sheikh Abdullah. When Sheikh Abdullah came to the scene, he had a different take. He said, I do not have any control over people beyond Rajouri and Poonch.
Poonch, yes.
He was only a leader of the Kashmiri speaking majority in the valley. So he said, I do not have control over them. And the military was, in a way overstretched. They were fighting in Rajouri and Poonch, they were fighting in the north in Kupwara sector, and there were some people stationed in Gilgit-Baltistan. The Pakistani forces had come to Hajipir Pass. They had almost colonized Kargil and Hajipir Pass. So they had to be pushed back. So all this thing was happening simultaneously. So without looking at the facts, it will be very, very wrong on our part to hold the leadership of that time responsible for what happened. So in that sense, Sheikh Abdullah said that this LOC may be taken as a border. And because to have Rajouri and Poonch and Gilgit and Baltistan with India will be subjecting yourself to perpetual troubles. This was a political decision Nehru was taking. And they must have taken, I mean, he must have been guided by Sheikh Abdullah Mountbatten and others. And this happens. This happens in real politics. And to come back to know whether we can have them together again, the question was posed to me earlier also. Well, nobody knows. Nobody in the world knows, including me. I cannot also pretend to be an astrologer here, that, one day it will be together. But nobody knows what will happen in history. Nobody knows, as much as I say that Pakistan is not going to go down because there will be always a helping hand coming from US or China or Saudi Arabia or whatever. Pakistan may also go away, wither away one day. Who knows? By virtue of only its internal contradictions. Its own internal contradictions may one day pull it apart. And who knows, maybe good sense will prevail or bad sense will prevail amongst us. And we will also help in generating that impetus within Pakistani state. So that Pakistan will rip apart one day.
Wither away.
One day, one doesn't know. But even then, this area, which has long stayed away from Jammu and Kashmir, to put them back into the Atlas and get it ruled by us will prove to be a challenge, quite a challenge. We need to also factor that in.
Just one point I wanted to make.
Sir.
You were talking about the surveys that you conducted about Indo-Pak relations, 2005, 2008, and then 2012.
Yes, sir.
I'm interested to know which part of the Pakistan you were actually trying to contact. Was it Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or just Punjab alone?
It was a stratified sampling method that we adopted. So we covered 18 cities in Pakistan and 76 cities in India. So it was a very credible survey, opinion survey.
No urban areas, no rural areas.
No. Also rural areas, but towns and cities basically. Sialkot, Faisalabad, Lahore, and things like that.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. And we'll go to the next. Himanshu ji. Himanshu Parida, please go ahead, sir.
Namaste. Hello.
Yes,
we can hear you.
Dr. Ashok, namaste. My name is Himanshu. I have got questions. One is on Indo-Iran, Afghanistan theater. I'm not too sure if it is prudent on my part to be asking you this question but then, if you join the dots, it somewhere goes to Pakistan. And the second one, I'll come to it. The first one is, what's the future of India-Iran relationship, followed by what happens to Chabahar, followed by what happens to Pakistan? The reason I'm asking is, I was reading an article very recently, post the death of assassination of Suleiman Qasimi, the head of Iran Republican Quds Force, who incidentally happened to be very friendly with India, and one of those few top Iranian leaders who were actually working in tandem with Indian interests and protecting Indian interests. So what happens to Chabahar? Because if you look at what Iranian foreign minister said very recently, wherein he had indirectly hinted that Chabahar may not be as useful as it was thought of, now that the Gwadar port, which is just about 100 kilometers away as the crow flies, So what is the future of Chahbahar? What is the future of Indo-Iran? And how does it link to Afghanistan? Because that is one leverage that we had. We don't have the kind of strategic depth that Pakistan always wanted. So what exactly is going to happen there? And the second question is, what actually happens to, who does this track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4 diplomacy? I mean, we keep talking about Tariq Fateh and Tariq Aslam Gora, both of them stay outside of Pakistan. My understanding is that the track 2, track 3, track 4 diplomacy is done by people like your Manishankar Ayers and your Kulkarnis and your retired 3-star, 4-star generals, retired diplomats who go enjoy their whiskey and their kebabs and just come back, nothing happens. Because whom do we speak to? Do we speak with GHQ Rawalpindi or do we speak to any of your political establishment? We have seen that 47 se leke 2000, this is what, 2020, we had one accord signed between Nehru and Ayub Khan on the Indus Water Treaty. Second accord was, if I'm not mistaken, was Shimla Accord. Third was Nawaz Sharif and late Bajpayee ji in Lahore. Then followed by the Agra Summit. Nothing really comes out of it. I mean, for people like us, it really hurt. I mean, I'm not saying that, we don't want friendly relations with Pakistan, but whom do we speak with? I mean, do we speak with the mullahs? Do we speak with the political establishment? Do we speak with GHQ Rawalpindi? Do we speak with ISI? I mean, it's a mess. So 2 questions, one on Indo-Afghanistan, Iran, and the second one is...
You see, Chabahar, I have been there, I have spoken to people out there, I have covered it extensively. Chabahar, I will tell you one thing, very interestingly. Chabahar, we have been able to convince the Americans that we need it, right? And Americans, you must have noted, Americans relaxed it in case of Chabahar. Indian investment in Chabahar was allowed by Americans, right? But, Chabahar will require a lot of investment from our side to get it going. The way China has developed Gwadar, we can never think of developing there. In the sense that, we do not have the, not that we do not have the ability, but I don't think we have enough interest. We are basically, I'm afraid, I should be, I do not know whether I should be telling you this. I'm afraid I'm letting out something that should not be told. Perhaps we are just using it as a pressure point on Pakistan. We are not serious about it. Come to think of it, we have only so far invested about $80 million, only $8 crore in Chabahar itself. There is a railway line which has to be built from there to Jaranj, Dollarama, which is not there. The road also is not in a good condition. The Iranians have done it, but it's not a one-way road. It's a two-way road and it's not that good. So in that sense, we are half-hearted about our investments in Chabahar. But I must tell you that having Chabahar in our kitty will prove very, very critical. I do not know why we shy away from investing there. One of the reasons could be because I have been speaking to the Iranians off and on. The Iranians are very difficult people to deal with. They bargain very hard. They haggle like mad. I have a theory that the older the civilization, the more complicated the people. I include ourselves in that. And Iranians always claim that we are one of the oldest civilizations in history. And I tell you, the situation was so bad when we started arguing about, what are the privileges they would give us in Chabahar. The discussions went on and on and on and on, and the Iranians are masters in hyperboles. They will never tell you anything in concrete. They will go round and round and round and round like jalebi bana rahe the. So it is very difficult to deal with them. It might be one of the reasons why our decision makers are also feeling it very, very difficult to take a decision to invest that much in Chabahar. Because a port is a success only if the communication lines are activated.
And the hinterland is good.
Yes, here you have built Jarans-Dalaram highway, which is linking up with the Garland highway in Afghanistan, right? But between Jarans and Chabahar, there is no road. There is a road, but it's not commerce friendly. It cannot take heavy traffic. So you have to enable that. The Iranians are saying, if it will give you strategic advantage, then you should come out and support this. We do not have money. We are under sanctions. We do not have enough money. So you do it. There is another bidder there. The bidder is China. The Chinese are saying, we are ready to develop Gwadar and we are ready to develop Chabahar and we are ready to develop this road. Because they will also like to take advantage of their connectivity to Central Asia. But Iranians are also very, very clever. As I told you, as an older civilization, they also see through the game. So they do not want to get into a situation where they will be too dependent on China. So they keep telling us that you please come and do this. Otherwise, you know, the Chinese are very, very intent. So they want to play on that sentiment and invite us. But because of various reasons, one is, you know, dealing with China, Iran is no laughing matter. Then it's not easy to withstand American wrath and anger. You know, if you increase your investment in Chabahar, the Americans will immediately sanction you. Let me tell you, because we found out to our distress that many companies which are investing in Chabahar and area around that are linked to IRGC. The Suleimani thing you brought in, Mr. Parida, they are going to sanction that as well. So because of that, our Chabahar venture is unlikely to realize its potential so soon, right? And the second question that you asked was, I'm forgetting now.
It was more of a comment than question because you know, we keep hearing about you know, this dialogues and discussion that should happen.
No. I have a point there. The point is, you are absolutely right. We are puzzled as to who to talk to. If you talk to Nawaz Sharif, then the army says no, he's not the one you should speak to. If you speak to the army, the political masters say that, you know, well, you are ignoring us. So we need to find a way where, you know, we will have some linkages with all these stakeholders, because Pakistan doesn't come up as a well integrated state apparatus like we are, you know, in a way. If Prime Minister Modi tomorrow says something, no army chief is going to say that, you know, well, I think differently. Or no chief minister of any of the countries will come up and say that I think differently. But Pakistan is a divided house. So that makes it difficult on our part to get this dialogue going. You have seen what happened to the Lahore dialogue. The Lahore dialogue, the Lahore agreement collapsed, and we had the Kargil war because Musharraf did not agree with Nawaz Sharif. But there is a silver lining in the cloud. The silver lining is this. I always see, whenever I told Lija Kutis this very same hypothesis I gave to her. She asked me, last time she was here, she asked me, you tell me how to bring India and Pakistan together. I said, I have a magic wand. I said, what is that? I said, you ensure that military will come to power in Islamabad tomorrow. Things will be normal between India and Pakistan. He said, how do you say so? I had my reasons. You see, the only agreement which has not been violated by Pakistan and India is the Indus Water Treaty. It was signed by a military dictator. The only time we had a successful dialogue for 3 years between 2004 and 2007 was by a military dictator, that was Musharraf. And here was a general who had fought a Kargil and realized the futility of war with India. And he came back to Lahore. Between Lahore and Islamabad agreement of 2004, Lahore was in 1999 and Islamabad agreement was in 2004. between these two landmarks, the 5 years, you had Kargil, but you also had Agra. In Agra, he tried to go back to the previous condition of Pakistan, that Kashmir is the dispute and India and Pakistan should discuss only Kashmir and nothing else. But in 2004, the same general agreed to discuss Kashmir with other issues as well. So when army comes to power, they realize the importance of India. In 2003, October, November, Musharraf was hosting one iftar party. And most of our separatists from Jammu and Kashmir were there in Islamabad that day, that evening. So one of the Kashmiri separatists started weeping. वो बोला कि आप लोग मैं सुन रहा हूँ कि इंडिया के साथ आप दोस्ताना रिलेशनशिप दोबारा कायम करने जा रहे हो. You are trying to revive relationship of friendship with them. So what will happen to us? You are throwing us to the wolves. Do you know what Musharraf said? Musharraf said, I will tell you one thing. Until yesterday, I was like a general who was at the foothills. He was going around the mountain and trying to fight a war. Today I stand at the top of the mountain. The vista is much clearer. And I see no other alternative to peace with India. I have to make peace with India if Pakistan has to prosper. But I can assure you, what I am going to give you, nobody will give you. And that was the beginning of Musharraf's about town. And because he was a military general, he could bring to bear certain pressures which made this 3-year dialogue possible. Unfortunately, God or Almighty or whatever fate has been unkind to us. Every time you find that certain things was taking some shape, it has gone astray. So I do not know how to go about it again, but it cannot be possible if we do not have access to all these different stakeholders in Pakistan. And this can only happen if you have track 2, track 3, track 1, track 1.5, everything together. Otherwise, you cannot handle Pakistan. There is yet another option. Don't talk. Just have one diplomatic establishment there which will be issuing visas. But that may not work beyond a point. Ultimately, you are prone to, vulnerable to international pressures. You are not a country which can stand up to international pressures as much as no other country in the world has stood up to global pressures, including Trump. When the global pressures will come, even mightiest of empires will have to respond. So we have to find out how best to go about it. At the moment, we should not be bothering ourselves thinking too much about having a dialogue with Pakistan or restarting dialogue with Pakistan. But all the same, as I emphasized, we should discover ways of getting into these constituencies that are at work in Pakistan. They are not beyond us. We do not require a visa to cultivate them. As much as we are using this platform to talk to each other, we can make use of these platforms to also talk to them. And try to also, get the things across. At least, जो बोलते हैं ना, एक जो famous गुफ्तगू है, गुफ्तगू जारी रहे, बात से बात बने. So without expecting any concrete result out of it, just continue with the dialogue part.
Yeah, but do you think approach of Trump can be experimented? Last time when Imran Khan went there, even the army chief, was called in. It's just that army chief was not in the photo frame. But
देखिए हमारी तो मती मारी गई है ना. जैसे आप कह रहे हैं ना, वहाँ पे the people who matter are the army guys.
Yeah.
हम सारा world जो है ना वो आर्मी के साथ बात कर रहा है, पाकिस्तानी आर्मी के साथ बात कर रहा है.
Correct.
Ghani will come to Islamabad. He will first go to GHQ, then come to Imran.
Correct.
French ambassadors will first meet GHQ guys and then go to the government. Americans will also do that. We are the only ones who have a massive ego vis-a-vis the Pakistan army. We should deal with them as if they are just an army.
I'm actually surprised. Why are we not so pragmatic with regard to Pakistan? While we showed that kind of a pragmatic approach in Burma.
Sir,
in Burma, we spoke to the junta. We have been friendly with the army there.
No,
Though
no,
we
that
were
is
democratic, we still spoke to them. Why are we not doing it in Pakistan?
गिरधर जी मैं वही बोला इलिजा कुटिस को कि कल आप फौजी को वहां ले आइए, हम भी बात करेंगे। आजकल जैसे राजीव गांधी के टाइम में ना एक अपॉर्चुनिटी था, सॉरी जियाउल हक के टाइम में, जियाउल हक वाज सेइंग telling our ambassador who was SK Singh has personally told me this several times. He told SK Singh several times that राजीव गांधी को बोलो मेरे से बात करे, ये कश्मीर इशू को हम पीछे धकेल देंगे। राजीव गांधी बोला कि मैं आर्मी चीफ से बात नहीं करूंगा उस टाइम, लेकिन अभी वी हैव मूव्ड फ्रॉम देयर। अभी अगर एक आर्मी बंदा प्रेसिडेंट बन जाता है, वी आर रेडी टू स्पीक टू देम। सो वी हैव मेड दैट चेंज, but they have to come to power, na?
Okay, sure. Now let's take Surnarayan ji. I hope your mic is okay now. We can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you're fine. Please go ahead. Yeah, you're
okay. Yeah, you're hearing audible?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, Ashok ji, it was really excellent, informative and knowledgeable information that you have given.
Thank you, sir.
My only 2-3 small questions. One is, you are saying that in times of the need, they may get support from China, Russia, America, Middle East, and all that. So, what do you think that we have the countries left who will try to, support us by, supplying equipments or militarily or whatever support? And to that, just the older one, but 1971, we had almost captured 90,000 people and went up to Lahore. Why was that pressure not exerted at that time to regain our, Pakistan occupied Kashmir? That is my first question. Second one is, whenever, of course, as you said, it will take decades to solve this problem and all that, I understand. But whenever Pakistan attacks us, why don't we do in a very bigger way, like those surgical strikes which we have done? Why it is like one time off, like, once in a while, just to tell to the public of India that we have done something. I mean, we should be a little more than what they have done, so that, of course, they may not stop it with that just because of that. We have done it as far as that, going up to that level and killing 300 people and 400 terrorists. But okay, that's not possible. But at least border-wise, we should do a bigger surgical strike. The third point is that all these IB officials and all that intelligence, they may be doing their job. But I think it is the political will that is lacking to take a decision to do something further on that. And lastly, it's only my opinion, like, terrorism which we have erupted in Sri Lanka, LTT and all that, we paid the price as Rajiv Gandhi. And terrorism instigated in Punjab with Bhindranwala, we paid the price with another Prime Minister. So I don't know when Pakistan will realize there's already a history in front of them, not just these two, so many other things, America and all those things. So when will they learn from all this history, how much time it may take it? Please answer, sir.
To the last question, I do not have an answer. I also asked the same question. That I keep asking my friends in Islamabad, that a friend of mine I was speaking to a couple of days back, I said that when will you take the election? He's saying that, maybe there was an opportune movement sometime between 2016 and 2018. But after this Article 370 abrogation, that moment is over. That window has closed down. And now there is no legitimacy backing the idea that we should not be playing this game. So Pakistan is going to play this game, even if it is hurting them. So I'm not hopeful that they will leave it so soon. But I am optimistic that one day this strategy unko leke dubega. So the point I was making, that one day they will rip apart, they will get divided into different states, is not impossible if they stick to this particular agenda. We learned our lessons. They will learn their lessons. They should better learn from our experience, but they are not learning it, so it is their fault. Coming to the first element, who will give us weapons? Who will give us? You see, these people are very shameless guys. The Americans, the Westerners, the Europeans, they're very shameless guys. They will give weapons to you. They will give weapons to Pakistan. They will tell you that they will hide the specifics from Pakistan. They will tell Pakistan that they will hide the specifics from us. Because this is the only business they have at the moment. because most of the consumer durables and all are manufactured in China. They have monopolized this weapon production, which is high value productions, high value items. So they will continue to supply us come what may. They will support Pakistan, they will support us. It is the dollar which matters. They do not have any ideological fascination for India. They have no ideological fascination for Pakistan. Do you think Saudi Arabia enamors US? Saudi Arabia with its dictatorship? It doesn't. But they are going to bed with Saudi Arabia every now and then. So this is pure realpolitik that we have to learn our lessons from. So they are not going to do anything which will hurt their interests. You see, they disregarded our advice to talk to Taliban because it suited them. They are rather telling us that you should come and you should also talk to them. So they will do what serves them best, and selling weapons to us will serve them. And I can go to the extent of saying that they may not like India and Pakistan to go to an all-out war, but they will do nothing to stop us from going to a war. You mark my words, I'm being very, very cautious here. They may not stop us from going to a war, but they will never like us to fight out an all-out war. That means, they would like us to have our animosities alive, because there is something, which drives the realpolitik, which I have to be aware of. Another question, second question that you had asked, I'm just escaping me. What was that?
Hello. The other question is, sir, they do a small border fighting.
Surgical strike. Yes. Here also, you will have to be realistic about what you are saying. You see, whether by design or default or by mistake, our projectiles, our missiles didn't hit the targets. Maybe they hit some uninhabited land in Pakistan. That did not escalate matters. But if you are the Prime Minister of India today, you will be shy of an escalation as much as you would like to teach Pakistan a lesson. Because you have to remember that here is a mad country with nuclear arsenals. So you can only scare them to a certain extent. You can keep pushing the envelope. You can keep pushing the threshold up. But you cannot go for that kind of a strike that you are envisaging. So at the moment also, the kind of retort that we are giving to Pakistan is beyond their imagination. For example, as I was telling you, on 5th of April, they killed 5 of our special forces officers. On 10th of April, we gave them back. It was a massive strike. Because of Corona, we don't get to hear about it. So we are giving them back, as much as we can, But I don't think we can take it to a level where we will force them to use their nuclear devices. You must remember, they have tactical nuclear devices now. So they might be blackmailing us. They may not use it, but we will have to factor that in every time we launch our attacks. So we'll have to calibrate our attack in a manner that it doesn't result in a nuclear disaster. So in that sense, our hands are tight. I must caution you on that. So by manufacturing or kickstarting a public hysteria against Pakistan is one thing, but by forcing the leadership of India to take a decision where a nuclear war may be imminent is another. So you have to distinguish between the two.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll next go to Hanumanlu. Hanumanlu ji, please go
ahead. His mic is not unmuted.
Yeah, I think he will be unmuted.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please, Hanumanlu ji, go ahead. Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir,
Yes.
you are saying that Pakistan is continuously disturbing India. Why it is interested to disturb India instead, rather than developing its own country or its own in the own territories and own people. Why it is so interesting? What is making them to disturb India?
Well, the answer is very simple. Why are we so anti-China? Because in 1962 they gave us a drumming. So
Yes.
nations do not forget humiliations so soon. Scaled up by several inches. So it is difficult for Pakistan to get back to an even track with India. Before that in 1947, they thought that Indian leadership agreed to partition out of compulsion, and they will always like to absorb us back into Hindustan. So that was a fear which conditioned their thinking, and that led to all the strategic planning that they did, and that continues to dictate their foreign policy, their security policy even today. The green books that they develop in the military academy, I have access to some of them. Every year they come out with a new green book, and these green books start by saying that we have to avenge our defeat in 1971. Like many people in the army, they are still not reconciled to the defeat we had at the hands of the Chinese today. So as nations, these sense of defeat continues for a long time. Whether they will go away, I am optimistic they will go away. We have just covered 70 years down the line. 70 years is just a small moment in the life of a nation. The Hindu civilization has been there for 5,000 years, and 70 years is just a moment, just a small moment. So, and in Pakistan case also, it is just a small moment in their national life. So maybe it will overcome, they will overcome one day. You see the way Germany and France, they were fighting, the way the England and France were fighting. They were fighting 100 years of war, and they were much more bloodier than the wars we have fought between Pakistan and India. But they came to senses. So one day we will come to senses. Perhaps the narrative on our part also will have to change accordingly. We'll have to act like a more responsible power than trying to imitate Pakistan. Lot of anti-Pakistan rhetoric that I get to see, which are being trafficked over WhatsApp, over email, over social media, should not be there. We, as a respectful nation, we should be wary of it, because this is not good. The way the anti-China sentiments are being churned out in India these days, where will it take us? Are we not constraining our leadership into taking any political decision about China? We are. We are in fact trying to force them to take a decision which they would not otherwise like to take. So the people who are spawning this kind of rhetoric, who are spawning these sentiments, they should behave as responsible citizens rather than rabble rousers, rather than behaving like irresponsible and unmitigated conspiracy mongers. We have to behave very rationally and very responsibly, which will enhance the freedom that we will grant to our leaders to take decisions which will ultimately be good for the country and good for us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And next is Vijay Totapalli. Please, Vijay, go ahead.
Namaskar, Ashokji.
Yeah.
I agree with you that we may need to make a people-to-people contact with Pakistan. And having said that, my question is how vulnerable is Pakistan military? Can't we divide the military and bring a military leader to suit to India, so that at least we can talk to them and resolve the issues, bilateral issues or Kashmir issue, whatever the issues which we have with that country? Why are we not thinking in those lines in terms of dividing the military? Why can't we bring some kind of a perestroika like how US has done with the Soviet Union? Thank you. That's my question.
This is a very interesting question, I must admit. And as it appears, the audience is so interactive and so well informed on Pakistan that they are trying to extract everything out of me. I thought I will just get.
People will extract from only people who know.
No.
No point extracting from people who don't know.
I am flattered, but I'm
Thank you.
flattered, but I have to strain my vocal cord for that and jog my memory for that. This is a very, very good question that Mr. Vijay has asked me. In fact, why is it difficult on our part to divide up the military?
Yes.
The answer is very simple. It is because we do not know how to engage it, or rather, we are not prepared to engage it. I will tell you a very interesting anecdote again. 2006, I came out with a proposal in IDSA. I am in IDSA, which is a Ministry of Defense run think tank. So I came out with a proposal. The proposal was this. The proposal was, as a think tank, we will come out with a certificate course on regional security, where we will invite middle ranking officials from army, from civil service, from different countries of South Asia to come to IDSA, stay there for 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks. I had proposed 4 weeks. In fact, 4 weeks. We will give them a stipend. We'll give them a small stipend. And we will also make it possible on their part to move around in India. Like we will take them to Mumbai once, to Agra, to Chennai and other places. And I put it out before the government. I said that we should do this. By so doing, we will have an access to a particular group of people in the middle ranking officers in army, colonel level, brigadier level, who will be leaders tomorrow. You know, if they come here, they will come with a sense of suspicion, with a sense of difference, with a sense of enmity. But when they move around in India, talk to people, go and interact with them, unburden themselves, they will carry a different memory of India when they go back home. And this will be a very good way of interacting with them. Do you know what happened to this proposal?
Would have been thrown in the dustbin.
Absolutely. We are mindless.
Yeah.
We are mindless. How much money would it take to organize all this? So we do not know how to go about it. I will tell you another anecdote. A friend of mine who is in the army, not one friend of mine, several friends of mine in the army have told me that in their United Nations peacekeeping operations, they work side by side with Pakistani army officers. And they walk back with memories of that. In these setups, the Indians and the Pakistanis are the best friends. They exchange everything. वो बोलते हैं यार कश्मीर को रहने दो यार, forget Kashmir, and they become best of friends. I tell you, this is the kind of relationship that is spontaneous between people of India and Pakistan. I have heard several stories of people going to Pakistan and people refusing to, the cab drivers refusing to take money from them. I have just last year, somebody came back from Pakistan. He went to Karachi. He bought about 10 saris from one shop. That fellow didn't take money from him. So, ये सब जो है ना, we have to think in terms of, you know, working on this. We are mindless about it. So we need to work on it. We need to find a way of bringing some element of dialogue into the army of Pakistan as well. So they are not, I still believe that there are people within the army who do not want this relationship to worsen.
No. We have experienced. We have experienced the nonsense of this Aman Ki Asha aunties. Right? So serious engagement of the Pakistani population and Pakistani civilian society did not happen in the way that the Americans hosted the Russians, for instance.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right.
Whereas this was more of mushaira, shairi kind of a stuff which happened between Delhi and Islamabad. And it was not country to country. It was more of the people sitting in Lutyens, Delhi, who engaged some sections of Pakistan for their own God knows whatever. That is something which is resisted by Indians at large. So the peace overtures are something which people started hating. So I think we need to somehow, like what you rightly said, disconnect the government of Pakistan versus the people of Pakistan, and people-to-people relationships have to be looked at in a different perspective, not the way Delhi wants us to see it, but differently. What you said is right, absolutely.
अच्छा, और एक चीज बोलूंगा at the cost of becoming unpopular with all of you. No. I'll tell you one thing. Aman ki asa, you said, we are used to it, and Aman ki asa is used in a very pejorative manner. People say, hey, Aman ki asa. I'll say they have a value as well. We need people like Manishankar Iyer and Arundhati Ghosh to be there. How do you expect 130 crore people to speak in one language, one voice? That is the mark of our democracy. In the US, there is a Noam Chomsky who used to curse America through and through every day.
Yeah.
They gave him as much respect as a professor. That is the mark of a civilized, mature nation, a secure, safe nation. We have to do that. We need few, Manishankar Iyers for that. We should not be lampooning them.
Yeah, Modi would
let them cultivate as many Pakistanis as possible in their own ways.
Yeah.
How does it bother? How does it bother us?
More Manishankar Iyers, Modi will get more votes. That's all.
Yeah, Modi will get more votes, and we will have more sympathizers in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So there is a way of looking at it. But coming to the important part of your question, Vijayji, whether we can divide them up. I think we don't need to divide them up. They are already divided. The unity that we see in Pakistan today is very facile. It is a facade. Because it is a line organization. You all of you should be knowing what a line organization is like. Because it is a line organization, and it is the head of the organization has to be respected. It is pulling together as a team. But there are already people at middle and lower level who have started standing up against the chief. Today, this particular chief is not respected.
Yeah.
No, he is pulling on because he is the chief. Otherwise, he would be thrown out. And Pakistani army doesn't want to tell the world that they are divided. You understand? Otherwise, they are divided. Why it is so? Again, I will tell you why. Because of their overemphasis on religion. We have to learn a lesson from Pakistan as well. Because of the overemphasis on religion, there is a constituency within the army which is thinking now that this particular democratic Pakistan is not the Pakistan that we would like to have. We need to have an Islamic Sharia-based system. And they are constantly talking to religious people across Pakistan who are feeding them with all kinds of Islamist imaginations about how Pakistan should be in future. You have another element which has come to the fore today in Pakistan called TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is saying this army is an army which is anti-Pakistan. This army has to be defeated for Pakistan to survive as an idea, as a state. And if you go through the videos that they produce, they are very, very interesting, very, very remarkable. Do you know what they say? One of them says that ये सब जो पाकिस्तान बनाए ये अंग्रेजों के दलाल थे, which includes Jinnah. Jinnah so far was infallible as a leader in Pakistan, but now there are people who are saying ये अंग्रेजों का दलाल थे, इन्होंने मुसलमानों को डिवाइड किया. वो बोलते हैं, उर्दू में बोलते हैं तक़सीमे मुसलमानाने हिंद, मतलब मुसलमान हिंदुस्तान के मुसलमान को ये डिवाइड कर दिए जिन्ना. ये गलत हुआ. ये सिर्फ तक़सीमे मुसलमानाने हिंद नहीं किए, ये हमें हमारे हमवतनों के खिलाफ भड़काए. हमवतन कौन होता है? हिंदूस. हमें हिंदुओं के खिलाफ भड़काए. ये टीटीपी कह रहा है, जो कह रहा है कि पाकिस्तान में इस्लामिक स्टेट होनी चाहिए. So Pakistan में a overemphasis on religion has moved in a direction where Pakistan army is being visualized as the main enemy of the Pakistani state. So Pakistan army stands divided today, but it will keep projecting its united face as long as the threat of India looms large in the horizon. You give them a tight hug, a friendly hug, the army will collapse tomorrow. If India comes across as a friendly nation to Pakistan, the army in Pakistan loses its legitimacy the very next day. So they find an opportunity in keeping this animosity alive. That we have to be sure about, because all these things will have to be understood to fashion our strategy vis-a-vis Pakistan. Thank you.
Subramaniam ji, VSV Subramaniam, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ashok ji. बहुत अच्छा है presentation. A small question. It's a corollary to what Mr. Vijay has asked. You have said the Pakistani religious house is very divided, but in India, the same religious houses are more united. Can you throw some light on this, sir?
It is very simple and it's commonsensical. Because in India, what has happened? I will tell you one interesting thing. W. Hunter, you know, he was the first one to write a treatise on Indian Muslims. And that was way back in 1909 or so. He was a British officer. And he wrote that brilliant book, W. Hunter, The Indian Muslims. If you have not read it, I would urge you to grab it. You know, it's available in the archive section in Google. It is available. It's a brilliant book, brilliant book. W. Hunter, when he worked on the Indian Muslims, he said it was interesting that in spite of the diversity within Islam, it was interesting to observe that Indian Muslims pulled together as a single community. They forgot their differences. And this could have been possible because they regard the British as their number one enemy. When you are pitted against an enemy, all these divisions disappear. A moment has come in India today. This was not earlier, but during the last 1 or 2 decades, and especially during the Afghan war, it happened. From 1980s, late 1980s, this has happened. Indian Muslims have started building a narrative because 80s, mind you, where 80s witnessed the bloodiest riots, communal riots that India has ever seen. That was during Congress rule. And M.J. Akbar had written a brilliant book, Riots After Riots, a brilliant book. So that was the time when you saw that different sects within Islam in India started feeling so insecure that they thought that it will be good if they pulled together as one community. So it is the sense of vulnerability, the sense of insecurity that is bringing them together. You have not heard about Shia Sunni riots in India since the 1980s. It's because of that. And the consolidation, political consolidation of Hindu right-wing politically in India has also further made them feel insecure. And mind you, you are talking about not a minority. Don't, please, heaven's sake, don't call Muslims in India a minority. They have a population of almost 20 crores, which is equal to the population of Indonesia or Pakistan, which is more than now population of Bangladesh. So it's not a minority. It's a huge ethnic category or religious category that you are talking about. So our domestically, the approach of the government and the civil society towards this community will have to be strategized, keeping that fundamental fact in mind. You cannot overlook them. You cannot eliminate them. You cannot, politically marginalize them. So in the absence of all these options, the best option would be how to integrate them into the political mainstream by dispelling their sense of insecurity. It is easier said than done because the global environment, the environment ecosystem that we are in now, the global ecosystem is unfavorable to us. Even if our government doesn't do anything, they will interpret it to their disadvantage. So, and you cannot apply the norm that Pakistan is applying to its minorities, or other Muslim countries are applying to their minorities. You have to disassociate yourself from that kind of a narrative, from that kind of a strategy. So that has to be carefully thought of. In RSS, in BJP, in other political parties, we have reached a moment where we have to find out a way of keeping ourselves together internally. Because the internal hiatus, the internal crisis, we will take away all the advantages that we have reaped so far from being a democracy. So that is a question that I will place here. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And I think next is Dr. Nagaraj Balki. Nagaraj Balki wanted to ask a question.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Nagaraj ji,
go ahead, sir.
Nagaraj ji,
go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I can hear you, sir.
Sir, just one question. Possibility of Akhand Bharat in future. And one more thing. Just now, second one. Just,
okay. See, Dr. Nagaraj ji is calling from Raichur in Karnataka.
I see.
Yeah, please, Dr. Ji, go ahead. Yeah.
And one more thing, please. We just talked about the Manish Iyer and
Manishankar Iyer, yeah.
Manishankar and Arun Roy. What we have a pursue of, about them is they are more often Pakistani people than an Indians.
Please don't call that. No.
There is much of a, what we are getting a knowledge about that, seeing the newspaper, we feel that manner. But today, on hearing you, we have little bit, we think that they are favoring Indians also. It's just a comment. And,
yeah.
And only,
no.
Is there any possibility of Akhand Bharat in future?
Yeah. So the question is Akhand Bharat. Akhand Bharat. You see, I am reminded of Aurobindo's prediction. All of you must be aware of it, isn't it? Aurobindo once wrote, somebody asked him, and he innocently observed that he predicted rather. He was a sage, he was a saint, and perhaps he had that political sense also, because he also fought as a militant. He was also a militant. So we should be calling him a liberationist rather than a militant. He was a freedom fighter. So he once said that India will become 2, then it will become 3, then it will become 1. Right? So that is a fond hope driving the Hindu imagination in India. In my imagination, my father once told me this. My father once told me this. He read it somewhere and he passed it on to me when I was in my graduation days. So it's a fond hope. But if you look at the way world is moving, if you look at the way Europe moved at one point of time, Europe's past can be India's future. South Asia's future rather. Europe's past can be South Asia's future. This Akhand Bharat will not comprise of only India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. It may also comprise Afghanistan, Iran, Sri Lanka, Myanmar and parts of Yunnan. I'm very hopeful about it. Why I am telling you this? It's not because of the spread of Hindu civilization or Hindu culture. It is the gradual triumph of the idea of India or idea of Hindu culture. Because Hindu culture is so Catholic, so all absorbing in its content. Unfortunately, we are digressing from there. We are now very much wanting to step up in Hinduism like Christianity or Islam. We are not like that. We will absorb everything. I will urge you to read another book It is by V.S. Naipaul. V.S. Naipaul wrote a wonderful book in 1970s during emergency. He wrote a book called India, a Wounded Civilization. In that, he wrote that this civilization that we have in India, it's not a Hindu civilization. It is Indian civilization. It's pan-India civilization. That civilization is very absorptive. It absorbs the best from every culture and calls it his own. India has a wonderful way of absorbing different cultures and all. Keeping that in mind, what I foresee, these small divisions that we have, because we are thinking too much in the line of Westphalian states, because this Westphalian bug has bitten us very badly. We borrowed this system of parliamentary democracy from UK, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where is UK today? UK has reached a stage where they are allowing Scotland to go out of the Union through a plebiscite. But in India, we are still struggling to be where England was in 1947. Plebiscite is a hated word in India, but their democracy has reached that level. That is coming in the way of division. Scottish people said that we want to stay in the union so far. Maybe tomorrow they will go out. But what they are saying is, we will continue to stay within an economic union of UK. The same kind of a sentiment is building up in the South Asian theater as well. People want to get connected, stay connected across these physical borders. So that idea of state has to change. Did we ever have a India-like state ever in history? The India that we have today, you had a brief moment during Ashoka's time and Aurangzeb's time. Apart from that, we didn't have this kind of a state ever. And Aurangzeb's states and Ashok's state were very, very federal. They were very federal in their nature, where the peripheries were not under as much control of the center. So that was the kind of India that I have in mind. Tomorrow, you will have this idea of India enveloping the entire landmass. You may have India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Iran there, but they will be all, absorbed in that centripetal pool. Now the pool is centrifugal. It is going outward. At that point of time, it will walk inward. And maybe, who knows, this coronavirus case may, release that kind of an impulse where states will understand the futility of this Westphalian notion of raising barriers against each other and coming together economically, culturally, and otherwise. It may happen. So that kind of Akhand Bharat is very much probable, and I'm very optimistic about that. I do not want to have a system where you will rule from New Delhi and say that, well, whatever we say is law. That is not going to happen. Even India is not one. You have Odisha, you have Bengal, you have a lot of animosity between the two. You have Odisha and Maharashtra. At one point of time, these Maratha people had come to invade Orissa. And if you go to Orissa and you go to the Odia theatre, there is a staple theme which is called Bargi Utkal. And I have seen my grandfather, my grandparents and all, they weeping when that theatre was enacted, where they depict the way the Marathas had unleashed a reign of terror on Indians, on Orias. So even we are not united. There are a lot of things, if we just thoda dheel de denge na, all these things will come to fore. But we are now hanging together because that cultural idea of India is enveloping us. That idea of a all-encompassing system, leaving out all these guys, their autonomy, cultural autonomy, is very much something, is an idea which is very much acceptable to others. And this will somehow or other, I find, one day it will appeal to all these countries so that they will come together as one emotional unit which we'll call, now we are looking at it through EU, European Union. Maybe there will be a South Asian Union. Well, they will call it now, at that point of time, not South Asian Union, they will call it Indian Union, or maybe Indian subcontinent. Who knows? So I have that kind of a state in mind, because there is no way I can envisage that India will conquer Pakistan or conquer Afghanistan or conquer Bangladesh and make them their own. This is not possible at the moment.
Yeah, sure, great.
Sorry for having dilated too much.
No. I mean, this is an emotional issue for every Indian, sir, and we can understand that. Every Indian has a concept of Akhanda Bharat, but what you rightly said is, we never had one single union centered at one place.
Never.
Yeah,
Never.
So that is always true. We had many Ganarajas and Upaganas, but we had a largely connected feeling that we are Bharat.
Yes, culturally.
Yeah, even Balki Desha, which is like today's Transoxiana, probably Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, those areas, they were also part of Bharat. They fought in Mahabharat war, but they were independent kingdoms. After all, even Kurukshetra was hardly 5 districts.
Absolutely.
But what you said is right. I mean, it will never be one single legal entity, but it will be a union of culture, union of the Indian civilization. Whatever name we want to call it, Hindu civilization, Indian, Bharat, whatever it is that civilization which will bind us together at some point in time. You perfectly said that. And of course, the economic union also. We would need to be part of a union where economically we'll be a power to reckon with.
Borders should vanish.
Yeah, borders, soft borders, and I mean, we can't vanish, but there will be soft borders. even Kautilya Chanakya had to show his passport before he entered, any state.
Yes,
Fine.
yes,
I think we'll take last 2 questions and we'll close it, sir.
Okay.
Ravi, I think Ravi has been in the queue for quite some time. Mr. Ravi, please go ahead.
Sir, out of your research, how many Siddhus, Navjot Singh Siddhus, you have find in your research, sir, in Pakistan?
Quite hilarious. I think, we need bit of Sidhu as well. We need, I tell you, I keep repeating myself, we need Siddhus, we need Arundhati Roys, we need Manishankar Ayers to project ourselves as a democratic country. That here you can walk away with all kinds of nonsense. Here one day, when I grew up in Orissa, I had gone to when I went to Mumbai once, I found in one of the sets, it was Ganesh Puja. Ganesh was made to drive a motorcycle. So we are a country where you can talk ill of even Rama and pass off as a Hindu. I can raise a lot of questions about Rama's devotion towards his wife, towards his kingdom, and still considered a Hindu. That is what it means to be a Hindu. Like it means to be like a Hindu. Hindus are very, very, characteristic people. You cannot bind them in one level.
We are not.
What we are doing now is we are being influenced by Taliban. We are trying to define what it means to be a Hindu. There's nothing like that. I can criticize Krishna. I can criticize Rama. I can criticize Ganesha, and I can still be counted as a Hindu. I can still go to temple and sing Tumaka Chalat Ramachandra Panjaniya karke. I can always sing. So that is what it means to be a Hindu. Hindus have never been rigid, inflexible about their beliefs.
Yeah.
We should stop enforcing this kind of discipline and uniformity on others. Let Sidhu think the way he thinks. Who are we to tell how he should think? In which way he has paralyzed or jeopardized India's security interests? You tell me. In which way Manishankar Ayyer has jeopardized India's security interests? Rather, I would say that he has brought laurels to India. That people are saying that in spite of having that kind of a sentiment, he's still counted as a respectable Indian. The way Americans are priding on Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky is arguably the most abhorrent critic of American system. but Americans take pride in him as an American citizen. So we should not be, mindlessly criticizing people. You cannot. My basic argument is this: you cannot enforce discipline on 130 crore individuals. You cannot force them. You cannot force them to think alike.
Yeah.
You can only build on the commonalities that lie among them.
Great.
And the commonalities is that this guy is also product of the same culture. These guys are product of the same culture. And the other day, somebody from Bihar, I met him. He called me. He said, "Then how is it that you are named Ashoka? In Bihar, Ashoka, will cast you. People will cast you as a Buddhist." I said, "What ridiculous! How ridiculous one can sound." Now we will overemphasize on religion, and we will say that Buddhists are not part of us, Sikhs are not part of us. Is this the way we are going? We have to absorb them. We have to bring them into the mainstream. That is the way ahead. We cannot set up a Berlin Wall amongst between Hindus and others. That is the way forward. I'm sorry to say this.
Sure. In fact, the name Ashoka was given when he was not yet a Buddhist.
Not yet a Buddhist.
So anyway, fine. I think we'll take the last question, and it's our own Balaji. Balaji, please go ahead. No, can't hear you. Can't hear you.
We can't hear you. I think his mic has been unmuted.
Yeah. No, I think you will have to unmute at your end, I think. I don't know. It's unmuted from our end.
No, it is not. It is muted.
No, he has muted it again.
Balaji Sahab, you have to unmute your mic. No, it's still mute.
No, it's you have to unmute at your end.
Yes.
No, I think your mic is a problem. You have to come closer to that and speak. What I suggest is, I think you remove the headphones and then talk. Probably that will be better. Then I don't know. Your voice is not coming. But every day you're asking a question and we are able to hear. But today I don't know what's happened to you. Yeah, I think it's not happening. I don't know what's the problem. Yeah, please try. No, not happening. Sound is not coming. There is some problem at your end. Okay, fine. I think we'll take it some other day. I think Ashokji will close it here.
Okay. Thank you.
It was a very great, informative and very interactive session. Of course, what you said, people will have their own opinions. I'm sure a lot of people are not happy.
I do not want all of you to agree with me.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, especially with regard to Arundhati Roy and Manishankar Iyer, people are so angry.
Emotional.
Yeah, that is an area where you'll lose some friends, I'm sure.
No, I would urge you to think differently.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, we fully understand. I'm just expressing the view of the people as messages are floating around, Some are telling it in openly and some are sending me private messages. But that's fine. I mean, that's the way we are. We are a talkative lot. We are talkative Indians.
If you have two Indians in the room, you have 5 opinions.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And it was great, sir. I mean, the very way the intellectuals think about Pakistan, I think you have challenged their thought process. Of course, in our couple of hours, 2-hour session, we are not going to understand the whole of Pakistan. It takes time. But I'm sure this will kind of push them to try and invest, to learn, to understand Pakistan a lot more than the emotional rhetoric that they see in WhatsApp messages. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for sparing your time. And sorry for the overrun of the time. I mean, the enthusiasm of the people we didn't want to curtail. You've been patient enough to answer all of them. Thank you so much. And it was a
Thank you very much. Girdharji, thank you. Thank you. And invite me again. Thank you.
Definitely, sir. You're most welcome. We will call you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot to all of you. Bharat
Thank
Mata
you.
ki
Thank
jai.
you. Thank you. Bharat Mata ki jai.